Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. A couple of months ago, we made a video talking about what are the starter animes for beginners. And that video did pretty well, at least on my terms. So I assume if you watch this as a beginner, you probably watch these shows in advanced by now. So why not make a video for advanced anime watchers? I know in the hierarchy of things you would call it the intermediate level, but no way I'm about to call a video that. I refuse. So I like to give you a top 5 anime list for advanced watchers. And also this is opinion based, so if you think something else should replace my list, let me know in the comments down below. Respectively, some of y'all be out of pocket. Now then, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Well, you're an anime watcher by now, so congratulations. I assume you can count the number of anime you've watched on one hand by now, if not 2 if you're lucky. And if you can, this video is for you. I want to present to you 5 different genres and at least 1 anime that falls within that genre. Now just so you know, the anime I listed within the starter anime video will not be here. Just to, save you some time, I assume you watched it. And plus, the anime I pick is not for people that are TikTok brainwashed. In other words, it's either going to be long or you at least have to think. So, in no particular order, let's start off with number 5. Number 5 on this list is Higurashi, also known as When They Cry. Now, if you do know about this show, I assume you know that there's 2 different versions of the show. The original older version and also the newer version within the 21st century. The only difference is the newer version may look like it's a remake, but it's actually not. You see, this Higurashi is a sequel of this Higurashi. In other words, you should watch the original, but you don't really need to. The premise of the show is pretty simple to figure out who's the murderer. During every iteration of the story, there's somebody that snaps. The person that snaps ends up killing almost everybody within the town. Now, if you're wondering why someone doesn't come by and stop them, it's mainly because the world will repeat. Our main protagonist, Rika, realizes that she's in a continuous time loop, and every time she gets bodied, she has to start over again, and again. It's actually quite sad because the way she goes out, I can't really show it on video. You know how YouTube is, I don't want to get blocked. But overall, Rika still has the hope that she will one day get out of this time loop. And even though she realizes that she's the only one that can see the time loop, she still has hope that it will one day end. That is until you get more information from the 2nd season. But I don't want to spoil anything because Higurashi is much better to watch than to hear. If you're looking for a horror type anime, this is a good pick. Plus, every time the world reloops, you'll continuously guess who is the killer this time. At the time I'm making this video, I can confidently say that Higurashi is done for good. So if you started from beginning to end, I'm sure there won't be more content after. But of course, this show right here is that fire, and if you want to think just a little bit, you should watch this show. Next, let's go for our number 4 spot and look for a shonen anime. An advanced anime you should be watching is Jujutsu Kaisen. This anime is not only a fix for you shonen lovers, but also keeps a lot of tropes from previous generations. It's pretty obvious that this show was inspired by Naruto and Bleach in some way. Within Jujutsu Kaisen's world, there are regular people and people with cursed energy. With the power of cursed energy, you'll be able to see curses. In other words, if you have energy, you'll be able to see monsters. It's pretty straightforward, and Bleach has the exact same concept. If you don't have that energy, you cannot see the monsters that have that energy. These curses are naturally evil and seek doing bad things to civilization. So you have people such as Jujutsu sorcerers that are able to exile these curses. And of course, by the word exile, I mean you can literally kill them. But there are some curses that are naturally born by negative activity within the worlds, therefore they're stronger than others. But of course, to counteract that, you try to get young sorcerers that have the ability to get stronger and help you. These young sorcerers are basically going to school without doing the school part. They may have a lesson here and there, but this is mainly meant to train you to fight. Within the series, we see about 3 different generations of Jujutsu sorcerers. And of course, within the series, we're introduced to some of these people that are considered prodigies. And without spoiling it, I'm talking about the guy that literally has a curse inside of him. Maybe he's not a curse, but whatever he is, he's ridiculously strong. Another guy that was so strong, he made a curse himself and can use her to fight. And this guy's pretty live, I'm not gonna lie to you. And the other guy is just so strong, he just literally cannot be touched and can do so much more. There's so many other sorcerers we could talk about, including bad ones as well. But if you're looking for a new shonen that has some complexity, this is your pick. Jujutsu Kaisen might be one of the closest to one of your original OGs. And plus, with Studio Mappa making the animation for this show, you'll usually never be disappointed with whatever you see. I also want to give this anime its props because it did get Anime of the Year. But when it's all said and done, I would not be surprised if we're ranking it amongst one of the best. Now for the number 3 spot, I really debated if I should put this genre here. I realized it did not belong on the starter anime list because of its complexity, but now that we're on the advanced list, I really wonder if watchers could enjoy this genre or not. But then I thought if you have several different animes under your belt, you could probably figure out why this one is a good genre. So for our number 3 spot, I picked Madoka Magica. Now listen, I understand that the magical girl genre is not for everyone, and a lot of times when people see this, they get the wrong idea. I would say the magical girl series started off with Sailor Moon, and it was very tame. Sailor Moon did have enemies here and there, and of course the characters had an internal crisis, but it was very tame and was meant for a younger audience. But Madoka Magica for sure takes a darker path towards its story. A lot of times when you see a dark looking anime, you'll of course assume the anime is dark, but these magical girl series will fool you thinking this is a happy-go-lucky time. And for sure Madoka Magica is not that whatsoever. This show revolves around our main character Madoka, or Magica, who struggles to become a magical girl. These magical girls are tasked to stop any monsters that are found within their city. The difference is these monsters don't just appear out of the blue, but you do get a pretty sweet deal if you become a magical girl. Some of the girls we see becoming magical girls can get any wish they desire. Things such as having unlimited food or healing someone completely from an illness. To get that one wish that you want is pretty great, but of course there's more to the series than just that. Now I really don't want to spoil more towards the series, but it's better for you to watch than me explain it to you. Of course many people have seen before, if you have a wish, what would you want? An infinite amount of money, or maybe you want to be famous. These choices are all good choices depending on the character, but with this show there's always a consequence depending on your choice. I also want to mention that Madoka Magica has one season as well as a movie. Of course you want to watch the season first before the movie, however they're about to get a second one pretty soon. So this is probably the best time for you to get into the series if you've never done it before. On top of that, if you are looking for this show, I wouldn't recommend Magica Records. If you like what you see from Madoka Magica, I would say for sure continue on with this series next. But overall, Records is not as good as the original, so I wouldn't recommend it if you don't love this series. But nonetheless, you are an advanced watcher, so if you want to try the magical girl genre, this is your first pick. Now we're getting to the last 2 picks of this advanced list. Even though I said there is no particular order on this list, it doesn't mean that these 2 are not the best on this list. And by that I mean not the best anime, more that they're a better pick for an advanced watcher. So number 2 on this list is going to Death Note. Now Death Note is for sure for the type of people that love a thriller or mystery. You fiends are going to love this show. The premise of the show is pretty simple, that one day a young man named Light Yagami gets a Death Note. And as you can assume, it's what a lot of weird kids in your high school also had. This Death Note basically acts as a hit list at which you can write down anyone's name and they will die. It's even more goated because you can write down when they die as well as how they die. It just so happens in this series one of the smartest characters gets their hands on this book. And on top of that, he considers himself a god in his own eyes. Being able to get rid of criminals instead of having them sit in jail is a good service to him. Well, it's more of a good service to the world how he sees it. And while Light Yagami is able to kill all these people, they don't know how it's happening. So the world decides we need to figure out who is the killer. And to get this done, they decide to hire a young man named L. Now L is also quick-witted and has a lot of badges of honor. So even though he doesn't look the part, he for sure has the ability to do so. Now as you can assume by looking at it, this show is not about who has the bigger muscles. Instead, the show is over who is smarter than the other and can take advantage of what they have at their disposal. This show right here is a classic, and if you have not seen this show as an anime watcher, you're missing out. Now I can't tell you who wins when it comes to the end of the story, however, it is a good watch. Now I also will say there is a point of the series where the show makes a little twist. And I hate to say it, but this is a bad twist for the series. But even though at this point it's not the most liked decision of the show, it doesn't mean it's bad. So if you are looking for an anime thriller, this is the one for you. Alright, you made it to the final pick on this list, and the number 1 spot goes to Kakegurui. Now listen, picking a gambling anime for something you should watch is already crazy. But no way, shape, or form do I promote gambling amongst any of you. even if I do it myself. But seriously, this is a gambling show for better or worse. The show follows a young man named Ryota, but he is a loser, so we do not care. The main character of the show is Yumiko Jabami. Yumiko is a dirty dog when it comes to gambling, and she will gamble not for the money, but for the thrill. Within the high school you go to, you have to gamble to survive. If you are a winner, then you're basically, of course, rich and have money. But if not, then you are basically a slave to someone else that has that said money. Overall, you just don't want to go in debt because you become what they call a pet. And I'm talking about you do some dirty things as a pet too. So for some people that are blessed to gamble correctly, they have plenty of pets they can use at their disposal. It's just insane because they're real humans that have a third period in about 5. But our main character Yumiko does not worry about becoming a pet. Matter of fact, she doesn't really care about winning or losing money in the matter. Her main goal is to have the thrill of the actual gambling. And she really doesn't care if the coin flips her way or not. Now there are currently a couple seasons of this show, including one in which Yumiko is not the main character. I actually don't think she shows up at all in this season. But overall, this show gives you a lot of joy even though it's through gambling. Finding out how characters are tricking one another and what they get from the rewards. It's honestly a pretty cool show to throw on while you're kicking back and doing nothing. But regardless, these are my 5 picks for advanced anime watchers. And again, if you think another anime fits one of these spots better, please let me know in the comments down below. And please y'all, if you do, be civil. This is opinion based and nobody has time for all of this. And before you check out, if you want to see the starter anime list, it's over here. If this video does well, we're doing expert list next. And also thank you for all the love and support from Patreons. If you want to support the channel and be a member, check out the link down below. Until next time, y'all take care. Peace.